Elon Musk, the man who is famous for changing the world with electric cars and rockets, had just made an announcement that was not anticipated. He said, I want to discuss Noah's Ark. This has nothing to do with rockets or space. Yeah, this was something else. It was something that was really personal. What could he possibly be trying to say? People were captivated by their screens, anxious to learn more. They waited in silence. He sees, why would a man who is so focused on the future suddenly start talking about the past? It was completely illogical. However, Musk then started to talk again, and what he said next would leave everyone in tears. He did not mention the water or the animals that were in pairs. Rather, he discussed something that is concealed inside the narrative of Noah's Ark. It was not about constructing a massive boat, it was about hope and survival. What is the reason he is disclosing this at this time? The camera zoomed in on his face while he was talking. He was not acting like he normally does. His voice had a weighty quality to it, a grief that people could sense even through their screens. What was the reason for his sadness? This was not the Elon Musk that people were familiar with. He was a self-assured, intelligent man who always appeared to be ahead of everyone else. This was a separate person. Something had changed, but no one understood what it was, and no one could look away. The world held its breath as Musk took a minute to pause. When he finally spoke again, he revealed something that no one had anticipated. He did not discuss anything related to business or technology. Instead, he recounted a story from when he was a child. What was it about his history that had stuck with him for such a long time? Musk started by saying, when I was a boy, I would sit with my grandfather. The narrative of Noah's Ark was taught to me by him. At that time, the globe seemed to be a smaller place. Money and power were not the issue. And it was about a tiny boy who was sitting on his grandfather's knee and listening to a story. However, this was not a typical story time. Musk had held on to this recollection for a long time for a purpose. Musk had carried something with him his entire life that his grandfather had shared with him, something that was profound. He recalled how his grandfather's eyes had filled with tears when he spoke about the ark. It wasn't because of the animals or the flood, it was because of the hope that the ark symbolized. Hey, what is there to hope for? As Musk recounted this experience, the others there could sense its significance. As he spoke, his voice shook, and everyone listened to every word he said. What made this story so significant to him? He didn't provide all of the answers immediately. He left everyone in a state of uncertainty instead. What did his grandfather say to him that day? Musk went on with the account of Noah's Ark, but he was not interested in the usual details that everyone was previously familiar with. He did not mention the animals, the rain, or the floodwaters. He chose to concentrate on something else, something that the majority of people had not noticed. Musk spoke in a gentle voice, saying that Noah did not simply construct a boat, he created hope. What is the reason that hope is so crucial to Musk that first people were unsure of what was going on? What was he trying to say? However, as Musk persisted, the parts started to come together. He said that his grandfather had told him that Noah's Ark was not only about survival, it was about having faith in something greater than yourself, even when it feels like everything is hopeless. Musk explained that he remembered that anecdote at the most difficult periods of his life. It served as a reminder that even when the world seems to be coming apart, there is always a chance for hope. Why was this story so important to him at this moment? He stopped once more, allowing his words to be absorbed. The audience was quiet. Everyone was reflecting on the moments in their own lives when they had felt hopeless. Then Musk said something that would affect the way people viewed him for all time. He started speaking, his voice trembling. I have never told anyone this. However, there was a period when I had no hope left. What happened to Musk? What caused him to lose hope? The air was thick with tension. Of all individuals, Musk was the last person anyone thought would admit to something like that. However, he still had more to accomplish. Musk's voice became quieter as he talked about a period when it felt like everything was going wrong. It was not during the early part of his career when he was just getting started. It was a long time after that. When he had already achieved success, he stated it was after I had achieved my first few major accomplishments. However, something occurred that could not be resolved with any amount of money. What could have gone wrong? People leaned in closer to their screens. Musk was noted for his ability to recover from failure and his perseverance. However, this time was not the same. This time, something had broken him. He kept the specifics to himself. He did not provide any details about what had happened. However, he did not have to. His look revealed the truth. What is preventing him from telling us what broke him? His voice was filled with grief, and the sadness that remained was something that everyone could sense. And as if he could feel that everyone was holding their breath, he replied, but I remembered Noah's Ark. What is he trying to say? In what way did it assist him? Musk described how he reflected back to the story his grandfather had told him when he was feeling like he wanted to give up the boat and the animals were not the issue. It was 551 about the notion that there is always a way to move forward. Even in the darkest of circumstances, he stopped once more, allowing the concept to sink into the minds of those who were listening. What is the reason that this is so important to him at this moment? As Musk's story progressed, the tension increased and everyone was eager to find out what would happen next. Elon Musk paused for a moment and took a big breath before continuing, as though the memories were too much for him to bear. His eyes showed that he was struggling. This was not the typical Musk who spoke with confidence about saving the Earth or taking humanity to Mars. This man was weighed down by something more profound, something that was unique to him. He gazed out into the crowd, even though the majority of them were watching him on screens. Then he said something that left everyone speechless. I was unsure whether I could continue. To see what had caused him to come so near to the edge. Musk described a time in his life when he felt like everything was falling apart. He had felt lost even with the billions of riches and the success that the world adored. The pressure had become unbearable. Everyone thought he would be great and would always have the answers. However, he did not. Nobody was aware of the difficulties he faced behind the scenes for such a long time. How did he manage to conceal his suffering? Because many people thought that someone like Elon Musk, who is so wealthy and famous, would not experience the same challenges as regular people do. However, Musk demonstrated to them that no amount of money can shield you from the difficulties that life presents. He talked to the nights he spent without sleep, the nervousness that was always with him, and the overpowering fear of failure that accompanied him everywhere he went. Then, with a voice full of emotion, he remarked, I've thought about giving up for a moment. It felt like the world had come to a standstill. Is Musk throwing in the towel? It appeared to be impossible. How could a person who was so strong even consider giving up? However, Musk was just like everyone else in that he was human. Millions of individuals who had likewise considered giving up at some point in their life felt a connection to his words. Musk went on to explain a moment when his businesses were on the brink of going under. He had invested all of his money in them, putting everything on the line, but nothing was going according to plan. He felt overwhelmed by the pressure coming from investors, the media, and even his own expectations. What actions did he take while everything was falling apart? He stopped for a moment before saying Noah's Ark was the thing that saved me. How did that ancient story offer him the fortitude he needed? Elon Musk leaned forward and gripped the platform with his hands, as if he were trying to keep himself steady. He started to explain that when he was at his lowest point, he thought about the narrative of Noah. He didn't think about the rain or the ark. He thought about the waiting in the storm. Musk noted that when Noah built the ark, he had no idea when the rain would cease. He was unsure of how long he would be trapped indoors with all of those animals. Even though he had no assurance that things would improve, he continued on. What makes this so significant to Musk at this moment? As Musk continued speaking, his voice became more powerful. He explained that, like Noah, he had experienced feeling trapped by situations that were beyond his control, such as failures, setbacks, and ongoing challenges. Everything felt like a hurricane that would never end. He was unsure whether things would get better. He was unsure whether he would be able to rescue his companies, his aspirations, or even his own peace of mind. Musk stated, but I kept going. Not because I knew everything would work out, but because I had to believe there was a way through the storm. This is the moment that people were waiting for, the moment that he discovered hope. The atmosphere in the room was heavy with tension. Everyone was curious about how he had managed to turn things around, what had motivated him to keep trying, and what had given him hope when everything seemed hopeless. Musk then revealed that the most shocking aspect of the narrative was that he did not see any hope in technology or innovation. He did not discover it by science or reasoning. He discovered it in something that was far more straightforward. He said that he remembered the words of his grandfather. He said to me, "You must continue to build even when you cannot see the end of the storm. You must continue to have hope." What is the reason that Musk has held on to this message for such a long time? Musk recounted how he continued to believe in that vision, even when it appeared like there was no hope left. He continued to move forward and kept trying, even when it appeared that it was impossible. And gradually, things started to alter. At this point, everyone's really engaged in the story. People across the world were listening to Musk, many of them wiping away tears. This article was not about rockets or electric cars. This is a story about life itself, including the hardships, the grief, and most significantly, the hope that keeps us going. Musk explained how he began to repair his life after hitting rock bottom. It was difficult. There were still many nights without sleep and innumerable moments of uncertainty. However, he continued to move forward, one step at a time, just like Noah. But what is the significance of this story at this moment? Musk finally explained why he was making this story public. He stated that he is aware that a lot of you are having a hard time. I understand that life can be daunting at times. However, If you take away only one thing from Noah's Ark, let it be this, like even at the darkest of times and the storm appears to go on forever, there is always hope. What is the reason he is informing us of this at this moment? He glanced into the camera, his eyes filled with emotion, and added, I'm not just talking to you as Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla or SpaceX. I am speaking to you as someone who has experienced the same situation you are in. I was confused. I felt like there was no hope. I am here to inform you that there is a way out. The audience was completely silent, listening intently to what he said. Musk continued, saying that we all face storms in our life, much like Noah did. There are times when we all wonder if we have the strength to continue. However, if we continue to have faith and keep working hard, even in the midst of a storm, we will be able to find our way through. And this was the message that everyone needed to get. As Musk ended his address, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. The myth of Noah's Ark had taken on a new significance. It was not only a story from the past, it was also a lesson for the present. It served as a reminder that there is always hope, no matter how difficult circumstances may become. With that, Elon Musk departed from the stage, leaving behind a strong message that will remain with the globe for all time. What will happen next? That is a decision that each of us must make. Elon Musk's comments still lingered in the air as he stepped off the platform. People did not hurry to grab their phones or begin speaking. He remained silent and took in everything he had just spoken instead. It was rare for someone of his status to talk about their most difficult challenges. And it wasn't only about him. Everyone who heard his story was moved by it in some way. It's like, what was it about this story that affected people so profoundly? Musk's vulnerability demonstrated to the world that regardless of how much success, fame, or wealth a person has, they're still human. Everyone has their own struggles, their own challenges, and their own periods of uncertainty. And that was the intention. Musk was not only speaking for himself, he was speaking for everyone who had ever felt like giving up or who had ever confronted a situation that appeared impossible to overcome. What was the reaction of the people following the speech? At the moment the event concluded, social media was flooded with responses. However, this time, the headlines did not focus on Musk's enterprises or his aspirations for the future. They were about his honesty, his message of optimism, and how he encouraged people to keep going even when things appeared insurmountable. People all throughout the world discussed what Musk had said in their homes, offices, and classrooms. Some people told their own stories about their struggles. Others just thought of how they might connect to the sense of being in a storm with no apparent end in sight. However, what happened to Elon Musk following that? After Musk's speech, his email was filled with messages for several days. He was commended by many for being honest and brave. Some people said that his words had come at the perfect moment in their lives, and they had been feeling hopeless and were about to give up. But his narrative had given them the strength to continue. There were accounts of people who had been considering quitting their jobs or abandoning their aspirations, as well as some who had been contemplating suicide but who found fresh hope after hearing Musk's message. The effect was more significant than anyone could have anticipated. The uproar was too much for Musk to handle. He was surprised that so many people could relate to his personal story, but as the comments continued to come in, he saw how important it was to communicate the truth, including the challenges he had, rather than just the triumph. What was the reason behind Musk's decision to speak out at this time? Musk stated in interviews that took place following the incident that he believed it was time for a change. He had always been viewed as a man who was focused on the future, innovation, and technology. However, he wanted to remind people that behind every brilliant concept is a human who has doubts, concerns, and struggles, just like everyone else. Musk stated that he wants people to understand that it is normal to have difficulties. It is acceptable to experience feelings from time to time, but you must continue to move ahead, even when it seems impossible. This message continued to motivate. People started to share Musk's statements with their friends, family members, and co-workers. The myth of Noah's Ark evolved to represent not survival, but rather the ability to keep going. People began to view their personal challenges as a part of their path. Rather than something to avoid, they began to see them as something to endure and overcome. Even a year later, the impact of Musk's speech could still be felt. People who had been in dark places now told of how his message had been the turning point in their lives. It was not only about achieving achievement, it was also about finding hope and believing that the rain would finally stop, no matter how long the storm continued. Musk remained in charge of his firms, but there was a change in the air. He was no longer simply the man who wanted to carry humanity to Mars. He was also the man who wanted to remind people that they could withstand their own personal storms right here on Earth. Oh, is this the legacy that Elon Musk intended to leave behind? Over the years, people continue to discuss the speech that Elon Musk, a guy famed for his contributions to technology and innovation, gave on a particular day when he spoke from the heart. It served as a reminder that the most significant advancements are not often found in machines or rockets, but rather in the resilience of the human spirit. But is this the conclusion? This is not the end of the narrative. Musk's message continues to resonate in the lives of those who heard it, and as long as there are storms, there will always be those who remember what he said and find the fortitude to keep going. I appreciate you watching this video and taking the time to learn about this amazing story with me. I hope that Elon Musk's sincere message of resilience and hope has affected your heart as deeply as it has touched mine. It is a monument to the strength of the human spirit. If this tale inspired you, make sure to subscribe to Velvet Sovereigns for more content that will elevate your spirits and make you think. We will work together to discover more compelling and meaningful stories that will provide us hope and inspiration in our lives. Stay strong, keep believing, and always remember that even in the darkest storms, there is light on the horizon. I will see you in the future video.